I was holding a paper plate. That detail has never left me. Of all the things I could have been holding in that moment, a champagne flute, a gift, a hand, I was holding a paper plate, flimsy, disposable, like I was. It was Christmas. 30 relatives, warm light, laughter, the smell of roasted meat. And then my mother tapped a champagne flute with a butter knife, that sharp little ping, and the room went quiet. She announced that everyone needed to come together to make my sister Sarah's dream wedding happen. There was applause, there were tears, and then she turned, not toward the room, not toward my father, toward me. Emily, she said with that soft practice smile, your contribution will be $93,000. I laughed. I actually laughed because it had to be a joke, a terrible one, but a joke. Nobody else laughed. My father pushed back his chair, stood up like he was about to give a toast, and said, every person at this table agrees. You owe her this. My fork slipped from my hand and hit the hardwood floor. Across the room, Sarah covered her mouth, but I could see the smile hiding behind her fingers. And then my mother leaned in close, not enough to be private, just enough to sound that way. Pay for your sister's wedding, she said, or you are dead to this family. The room went quiet in that awful way. People go quiet when they want to watch you bleed, but don't want to admit they enjoy it. That wasn't even the moment that broke me. It was what my mother whispered next, something she believed would finally make me obey. And before I tell you what happened after I walked out that door, stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you will leave you speechless. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 30 years old. And for most of my life, I believed that if I was quiet enough, helpful enough, invisible enough, eventually this family would see me. It never happened. I had always been the backup, the spare battery, useful, quiet, replaceable. Sarah needed something, and I was expected to appear. That was simply how things worked. Looking back, the signs were everywhere. I just didn't have the language for them yet. At 7 years old, I stood near the kitchen door at Sarah's birthday party, holding a trash bag bigger than my body while everyone clapped for her. I remember thinking, if I carry enough plates, disappear enough, someone will say, Emily, come here. This is your family too. Nobody did. When I was in school, I earned straight A's and was recommended for an advanced summer writing academy. My parents never told me. They wrote 2 words across the top of the letter in my mother's handwriting. Too expensive. Sarah's dance camp first. Sarah hated dance camp after 3 days. My parents bought her a new bedroom set to cheer her up. I spent that July babysitting neighbors' kids and telling myself writing was just a hobby anyway. And there was a savings account, an education fund. I had asked about it before college, and my parents told me there was never much in it. I believed them. That was the thing about growing up in a family like mine. You were taught to doubt your own memory before you doubted them. There were always strange comments, careful silences, a feeling I could never quite name. And, underneath all of it, a question I was never brave enough to ask out loud. Why does Sarah receive love like an inheritance, while I receive leftovers? I didn't know the answer yet, but it was coming. And the moment it arrived, it would rearrange everything. But here's the part that nobody talks about. The truth had been hiding in a gray safe box under my bookshelf the entire time. The night I walked out of that Christmas dinner, I drove home through freezing rain with no music on. My phone lit up the whole way. Mom, Dad, unknown number. Aunt Marlene, Cousin Greg, Sarah. Then Mom again. I didn't pick up. When I got to my apartment, I locked the door, leaned against it, and slid down to the floor with my coat still on. That was when I noticed the box. It had belonged to my grandmother. She gave it to me when I was 16, after a family party where Sarah got a necklace and I got a lecture about humility. Grandma pressed a small brass key into my palm and whispered, one day you'll need to remember what really happened. I had never opened it. I was afraid it would prove I hadn't imagined any of it. I sat cross-legged on the floor and turned the key. Inside were envelopes, old photographs, birthday cards, school papers, and a folded note in my grandmother's careful handwriting. The first photograph was Sarah at 7, wearing a crown at her birthday party, sitting on my father's shoulders while everyone clapped. In the corner of that same photo, I was standing by the kitchen door, holding a trash bag bigger than my body. On the back, Grandma had written, "Emily cleaned the whole party." Linda said Sarah deserved to feel special. Then I found the report cards. Sarah showed average grades and a note about needing more focus. Mine showed straight A's and a recommendation for an advanced writing academy. Stapled to mine was the letter I had never seen. Across the top, in my mother's handwriting, too expensive, Sarah's dance camp first. And then I found the bank statement. My name was on it. Education savings account. I had asked about it before college. My parents told me there was never much in it. The statement showed almost $40,000 deposits from my grandmother over 2 years, and withdrawals one by one, with my father's handwriting beside each one. Sarah Carr. Sarah pageant coaching, engagement fund start. I sat there on the cold floor and held those papers and understood for the first time that what had happened to me was not favoritism. Favoritism is buying one child better gifts. What I was looking at was theft, dressed up as parenting. At the bottom of the box was my grandmother's note, "Emily, if you are reading this, it means they have finally asked too much. Your parents will tell you that love means sacrifice. Be careful. In this family, sacrifice has always meant Emily pays and Sarah smiles. Do not let them turn your kindness into a contract." I read the last sentence 3 times. My phone buzzed. Sarah's message read, "Mom is crying. You're embarrassing everyone. Just say yes and we'll move on. Not are you okay? Not that was unfair. Just say yes. Move on. That was unfair. Just say yes. Move on. That was when something shifted inside me. Not healing, not bravery. Something quieter and more permanent than either of those things. I felt awake. The next morning, I had 47 missed calls and a group chat full of relatives I barely knew sending messages like, "It's just money, Emily. Don't be selfish. Your mother is devastated." My father left a voicemail that began calm and ended with shouting, "You will come back tonight. Apologize to your mother and tell Sarah you're paying." This family does not negotiate with disrespect. I played it twice, not because I enjoyed it, but because I needed to remind myself that fear had been mistaken for authority my entire life. I made an appointment with an attorney named Vivian Shaw. She had the calm expression of someone who had watched families destroy themselves over money and still managed to eat lunch afterward. I expected a cold legal conversation. She confirmed I had no obligation to pay. She told me to document everything and stop answering calls. Standard advice. But when I showed her the bank statements from the box, her expression changed. She leaned closer, read the names, read the dates, and then looked up at me. "Where did you get these?" I told her everything: the safe box, the education account, the Christmas demand, my mother's whispered words. Vivian tapped one finger on the paper. "Emily, this may not just be emotional manipulation." She told me that when a relative creates a fund for a specific beneficiary, especially for education, the details matter. Who controlled the account? Who made the withdrawals? Were there written terms? Did my grandmother leave a will? I said I didn't know who handled my grandmother's estate. Vivian's pen stopped moving. "Of course she did," she said, when I told her it was my mother. 2 days later, I received an email from a luxury vineyard venue congratulating me on sponsoring the Preston Miller wedding experience. Preston was Sarah's fiancé. My mother had listed me as the primary family contributor. The deposit hadn't been made, but the date was being held because my family had promised funds by Friday. I called the florist, same story. The caterer, same story. The bridal salon, worse. Sarah had chosen a custom gown and told them, "My sister handles the financial side." My name was everywhere. My signature was on nothing. And then Vivian called on a Thursday afternoon. "Emily," she said, "your grandmother's will is clear. The lake house was left to you." At that exact moment, she finally understood why everything had been a lie. The lake house, the one my mother claimed had been sold years ago. The one Sarah wanted for her bridal photos. The one my family was calling a tribute to Grandma while demanding $93,000 from the daughter they had stolen from for years. It had been transferred after my grandmother died, not to me, to a trust controlled by my mother. Can she do that? I asked. That depends on documents we need to obtain, Vivian said. But Emily, your sister's dream wedding may be built on property that was never supposed to belong to them. I could have stormed in with paperwork and burned it all down in one speech. Vivian told me not to. Let them keep talking, she said. People who think they're winning love to create evidence. The next piece came as an invitation to Sarah's final dress fitting. My mother texted from a new number. You need to attend. This is your last chance to repair the damage. Then Sarah sent a voice message, soft and tearful. Please, I just want my sister there. For 1 second, the old version of me almost answered. Then she added, and the salon needs your card on file before alterations. There it was. The hook under the ribbon. I replied with one sentence. I'll come to talk, not to pay. The bridal salon was all marble floors and velvet chairs. Sarah stood on a platform in a dress that probably cost more than my first car. My mother dabbed her eyes and told the consultant, Our Emily is finally here. She's had a hard time accepting her role, but family always comes around. I walked in wearing a black coat, carrying a folder. My father was there. He hated shopping, but loved public pressure. Aunt Marlene sat near the mirrors with 2 cousins, ready to witness my surrender. The consultant approached with a tablet. We just need to confirm the payment method for the alterations and the remaining gown balance. My mother placed her hand on my arm. Emily will handle that. I looked at the consultant. No, Emily will not. Sarah's bride smile disappeared. My mother laughed nervously. She's joking. I'm not, I said. My father rose from his chair. This is not the place. I looked around at the mirrors, reflecting us from every angle. Actually, Dad, this is perfect. Everyone keeps putting my name on bills. I'd like everyone to hear me remove it. I opened the folder, printed emails from the venue, florist, caterer, and salon. I contacted every vendor. None of them has my signature. None has my authorization. If anyone attempts to charge me, use my name, or claim I agreed to sponsor this wedding, my attorney will respond. The word attorney moved through the room like cold wind. Aunt Marlene had been filming. I looked directly at her phone. You can keep recording. Please do. My father's face darkened. You brought legal threats to your sister's dress fitting. You brought financial fraud to mine. My mother snapped. Fraud? How dare you use that word? I placed Sarah's late night message on the glass table, the one where she wrote that Grandma had left me money anyway, so stop acting broke. Sarah went pale. My parents' eyes met across the room. A tiny flicker. I saw it. Sarah attacked. You're jealous. You hate that people love me. You hate that I'm happy. I looked at her beautiful dress, her trembling hands, her expensive tears. Sarah, I said quietly, are you happy? The question landed harder than any accusation. Her eyes flashed with panic. Then she whispered, Just pay it, Emily, please. If this wedding falls apart, everyone will know. Not I love him. Not I want this marriage. Everyone will know. I closed the folder, then let them know. I walked to the door, then turned back. One more thing. Do not contact me again unless it's through my attorney. My mother screamed, You are dead to us. This time I didn't flinch. Then stop calling your ghosts for money, I said, and I walked out while the house erupted behind me. They did not stop calling. They multiplied. By morning, 63 missed calls. By lunch, 98. By midnight, 122. My mother contacted my workplace. She told my manager I was mentally unstable, harassing my sister, and might misuse company funds. My manager slid the printed email across her desk. I don't believe this, she said gently, but I needed you to know. I walked to the restroom, locked myself in a stall, and shook so hard my teeth clicked. Then I sent the email to Vivian. Her reply came in 10 minutes. This is actionable. Do you want to proceed? I stared at those words for a long time. My whole life, decisions had been made around me, over me, through me. Now someone was asking what I wanted. I typed yes. Vivian sent cease and desist letters. She contacted every vendor. The venue released the date when no deposit arrived. The florist canceled the floor hold. The dress salon paused alterations pending payment. Sarah's dream wedding began collapsing, one invoice at a time. The estate challenge went through. The lake house was returned to me in a legal settlement. My parents had to acknowledge in writing that I was not responsible for the wedding costs, that I had never agreed to sponsor the event, and that they would stop contacting my workplace, vendors, friends, and relatives. That written acknowledgement mattered more than money. It was the first time their version of reality had been forced to sit down and sign its name beneath the truth. I drove to the lake house alone. It was smaller than I remembered. Peeling blue paint, a crooked porch step, frozen weeds along the path. But when I unlocked the door, I cried, not because it was beautiful, because it was mine, because my grandmother had tried to leave me proof that I was worth protecting. Inside, I found pencil marks on the kitchen doorway from when Sarah and I were little. Sarah's name appeared several times, circled with hearts. Mine was lower, faint, almost rubbed away. Emily, age 8. Emily, age 10. Emily, age 12. I wondered who stopped marking my height after that. Maybe nobody noticed I was still growing. Revenge stories make justice sound like fireworks. Sometimes it feels quieter. Sometimes it feels like sitting in your apartment, drinking coffee, and realizing your phone is not rung in 3 hours. I don't miss the calls. I don't miss the guilt. I don't miss being told that love is measured by how much of yourself you can hand over without complaint. Because here's what I learned. When someone says, do this or you are no longer family, they are not offering love. They are revealing the contract you were never allowed to read. And when every person at the table agrees that you owe your life to someone else's dream, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stand up, leave the table, and let them call 122 times a day until they finally understand that you are not coming back as their bank, their scapegoat, or their obedient daughter. And maybe that is the question I still carry. If a family only calls you family when you pay, obey, and disappear, what exactly are you losing when you walk away?